Okay, good morning. I am Madison Murphy, the Chief Administrative Officer for the Colorado Department of Agriculture. The Commissioner of Agriculture, Kate Greenberg, has delegated authority to me to conduct this rulemaking hearing. This hearing commences at 10:04 a.m. on Thursday, August 28th, 2025. During this hearing, we will hear from Department of Agriculture Inspection and Consumer Services Division staff, and we will then move to take public comment. This hearing has no question and answer period. If stakeholders have questions for CDA staff, they are welcome to email cda_rulemaking@state.co.us, and the questions will be shared with appropriate staff, allowing them a chance to respond. This rulemaking hearing is being conducted in accordance with the State Administrative Procedures Act, Sections 24-4-101 through 108 of the Colorado Revised Statutes. This is consistent with the notice of rulemaking that was published in the Colorado Register on July 25th, 2025. Present with us today from the Colorado Department of Agriculture is Dwayne Sinning, Food Safety Program Director with Inspection and Consumer Services. Additionally, we are joined by Katie Davis, Assistant Attorney General and Counsel for the Department of Agriculture. The Commissioner of Agriculture proposes these rules as part of the department's rulemaking process to amend the rules pertaining to the administration and enforcement of the Produce Safety Act. Proposed amendments to 8 CCR 1202-17 include parts 1, 2, 3, 7, 24, 25, and 26. For our individuals who have just joined us, if you can please make sure that you type your name and the organization that you are representing today in the chat. That helps us for attendance purposes. And I will now hand over the floor to Dwayne Sinning to describe the proposed rule amendments. Dwayne.
Thank you. The proposed rule changes here today are really necessary to address the threat to human health from foodborne illnesses and to add some clarity. The changes include some additional definitions incorporated by reference materials, language clarifying the authority to prevent covered produce from entering or remaining in commerce, increased dollar thresholds, and language updates. I'll go into each part separately. Under Part 1, there are 3 additional definitions that are being proposed: adulterated, imminent threat to human health, and regulated person. The definition for adulterated was previously part of 7.2 in the rule and was referenced under the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, but the language wasn't clear. This is clear language of what adulteration means and where to find the reference. Imminent threat to human health is a new term used to define when a significant threat or danger to human health exists. It's consistent with the meaning and the language used by the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, so that there isn't 2 different sets of rules that are out there covering the same, but slightly different. So language would read 1.11, imminent threat to public health means a significant threat or danger to health is considered to exist when there is evidence sufficient to show that a product, practice, circumstance, or event creates a situation that is substantially likely to pose a significant danger considering the number of potential injuries and the nature, severity, and duration of the anticipated injury to human health. That 1 should be corrected immediately to prevent injury and should not be permitted to continue while an investigation, hearing, or other formal process is being held. The imminent threat may be declared at any point in the chain of events, which ultimately results in harm to the public. The occurrence of the final anticipated injury is not essential to establish that an imminent threat of such occurrence exists. The other new definition is regulated person. This definition clarifies persons who are not registered are still covered by the state rule and are subject to state, not federal authority, or not covered by the Food Safety Modernization Act. The definition would read under 1.19, regulated person means a grower, grower shipper, harvester, packer, cooler, or holder that is a farm as defined in 21 CFR 112.3 and is subject to any of the requirements of the Act and these rules. The term regulated person, you'll see, has been used, applied in several parts of the rule, including other definitions where appropriate. Part 2 contains style and content changes. The only real addition here is the adoption of reference from the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, where adulterated food is referenced. This was previously mentioned in Part 7.2 of this rule, which I will address when we get to that part. Part 3 changes the maximum allowable level for a grower before they become a regulated person. This change provides Colorado growers with a consistent threshold as surrounding states and nationally. Failure to adopt this section would put some of our small growers at a disadvantage and have to comply earlier with the rule. Similar to the changes to Part 7 include regulated persons previously mentioned and the removal of the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act where adulterated was previously noted. Again, that was moved to Part 2. Similar to Part 7, Part 24 aligns language with the new definitions as well as a grammatical style change for tense. It also references new Part 25. New Part 25 of the proposed rule clarifies the actions provided under the broad language of the Act that the department may utilize to protect human health beyond the civil fines that it may pose under Part 24. This part outlines the corrective actions, sampling, stop sale, recall, embargo, and quarantine, and how they apply. These authorities are provided under the broad authority of the Act and have been available through the Department of Public Health and Environment as was previously available under their public health authority. This clarifies the department's role on the farm. The new language would read, and I apologize, this part will be lengthy. In addition to the requirements for the inspection under Part 26, the commissioner of the or the commissioner's designee may take the following as the result of an inspection or during an investigation. 25.11, require a corrective action plan for violations that pose either some risk to human health or an imminent threat to human health. 25.1.2, examine and collect environmental water or covered produce samples for laboratory analysis. 25.1.3, initiate a stop sale, recall, embargo, or quarantine for violations that pose an imminent threat to public health or adulteration. 25.131, the reason for the stop sale, recall, embargo, or quarantine shall be documented on the order. 25.132, the affected produce shall not be sold, used, or removed until the violation is corrected if possible. 25.133, the regulated person is responsible for the storage and, if necessary, the destruction of the affected produce. 25.133.1, if storage facilities are not available, the regulated person is responsible for any costs incurred to store the affected produce. 25.133.2, the regulated person is responsible for any additional fees associated with the affected produce. 25.134, the produce subject to stop sale, recall, embargo, or quarantine is found not to be adulterated or associated with a violation that poses an imminent threat to public health it shall be released. 25135, failure to comply with the conditions of a stop, sale, recall, embargo, or quarantine may result in administrative penalties pursuant to section 3577-10110 of the Colorado Revised Statutes. 2514, require follow-up inspections to ensure compliance with the corrective action plan and these rules or act. 2515, refer violations for further enforcement action if necessary. And 25.2, nothing in this section shall be construed to limit the department's authority to issue cease and desist orders to respond to a condition that may present a public health hazard or to ensure orders necessary to effectuate the purpose of the act and these rules. Part 26, as with other parts, the changes are to registered and regulated person. Those are the proposed changes before you today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I do want to let folks know that I have seen in the chat what one of the requests is to see the red line rule. All of those are published in the Colorado Register for your review prior to this hearing. I can go ahead and put in the chat a link to the proposed rule if folks would like to review that. And we will now move into our public comment period. And so just as a reminder, this is the only hearing scheduled for this rule. And its purpose is to allow interested parties the opportunity to provide public comment. So again, this is not a Q&A session. Any questions for Department of Agriculture staff do need to go through CDA_rulemaking at state.co.us by the close of business today. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per individual, so please confine your comments to the issues presented by the proposed rule. And if any individuals provide public comment, please make sure that whenever you introduce yourself, you say the name and the organization that you are representing. We did not have any individuals pre-register to make public comment for this hearing. So what I will do is if individuals raise their hand, I can call on them for them to make public comment at this time. And then I will ask you to use *6 to please unmute yourself. So if you do wish to make public comment, if you can please raise your hand. Okay, not seeing any hand raised. This will conclude the public comment portion of this meeting. And so if anything comes to you after this meeting that you do have a question about, please, you can email CDA_rulemaking@state.co.us no later than close of business today. And the commissioner will consider all oral comments and written comments submitted by the close of business today. Once the rules are finalized, they'll be presented to the Colorado Agricultural Commission for discussion and approval at a meeting on September 17th, 2025. The public is welcome to attend this virtual meeting. However, additional public comment on this proposed rule will not be taken at this time. Yes, I can put into the chat where this goes as well. If the rules are approved by the commission, the final rules will be adopted by the commissioner and published on the Colorado Code of Regulations on October 25th, 2025, and they will become effective on or after November 11th of 2025. And so what I'm putting in the chat right now is the email address that you can use to submit public comment by close of business today, CDA_rulemaking@state.co.us. So I want to thank everyone who's taken the time to participate in today's hearing. Dwayne, thank you. And the individuals who are present were invited to provide public comment. Additionally, they can follow up via email with us by close of business today. And this hearing record is now closed. Thank you all.